comics are stupid.
No Harry Potter movie is good.
And you're like, give me the Snyder Cut. Oh, sorry, just walk in front of you here. Gonna put my popcorn down. Oh, sorry, gotta put this here.
Universal needs to sue Sony.
Hey, I'm an idiot. I was fired from Fox. Let me go.
I'd like actually to see Venom just crush Spider-Man.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
So we are back after a long time of a hiatus.
Super long time.
And so we're back, and we're just going to kind of be... So I had an idea 5 minutes ago for what we're going to do next week, because I have to get it all ready, which is going to be Movie News Jeopardy. Basically, Jeopardy based on all the news that we've kind of missed, or we haven't talked about. And so it's just kind of be a fun way to just,
Catch up with everything.
So today will kind of just be us going through all that news generally, so we all have an idea what happened. And then next time will be Jeopardy, which will be all based on the news that happened. So without further ado, we got to introduce ourselves. I keep forgetting we have to do that, It's been so long. So I'm Cullal, and you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Cullal_Deadpool. You can also find me on Letterboxd at that exact same @, which is also either on the screen or in the podcast description. And I'm joined, as usual, by...
I'm Alon. You can find me on Instagram by the username that hasn't been changed yet, Alon.s128.
Which is also in various spots. You're also in Letterboxd, but you don't really use it. You should use it, but...
More resourceful.
So yeah, that's our introduction. And of course you can, subscribe, do all that stuff. And yeah, we're going to just kind of start talking about things now because we can. And so, why not? So to start off, based on my very detailed topic list, which will probably say the same thing on the outline when I'm actually fully finished it, that it says on this little message I sent you. Marvel stuff. That's the first thing. So what's happened with Marvel? Well, lots has happened. The biggest piece of Marvel news really is Captain Marvel 2's director. So the director of Captain Marvel 2 is actually a very historic moment in Marvel movie. And the reason that is because it's the first time where a black woman will be directing a Marvel movie. And the director's name is Nia DaCosta, probably saying that wrong, DaCosta. And she, of course, was in charge of the rebooted Candyman. So that's a thing she's done. I don't know what else she's done, actually. Hold on, I'm going to look this up. I think she's one of those more indie directors who hasn't done, a lot of things.
And then this is her first, major big project.
Yeah, I'm going to check, though, because I know I looked this initially when I initially saw that she was directing it.
Yeah.
So the other movie that she has on her IMDb page that's credited to her is Little Woods, which is a small indie film from 2018.
Little Woods. Huh.
Which is a critically acclaimed crime thriller. So, I mean, I'm totally on board with her as the director. I honestly think she'll do a great job, even though I've seen nothing that she's done. I have full confidence that Marvel has seen something in her, and seen something because there was quite an angry reaction to that first movie, although I enjoyed it. Marvel realized they did need to change the director up a little bit to try to, portray Brie Larson in a more favorable light. And because some people felt like, she wasn't portrayed in a favorable light, from that movie. And there is a very angry backlash to that movie. So they did try to change things up, and hopefully her being the director now will essentially allow not only for there to be a kind of a one story, right? Not two directors trying to direct something. It's one singular voice who brings a unique perspective to Marvel that hasn't been shown, we haven't seen yet. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm pretty excited to kind of see what she does with this, because I think it could be interesting. Hopefully it's a lot more hopefully there's more to it, and it isn't like there were some good parts of the first one, but overall it was kind of a good-ish Marvel movie, you know? Yep. So next. Now the other big Marvel news is relating to the TV side of Marvel, and that is that you know that Hawkeye show?
Yeah.
So that Hawkeye show apparently is just kind of coming through a bit more, you know? It's kind of like getting started. They're getting ready to start like working on it, and they may have found their Kate Bishop. Guess who Kate Bishop's going to be?
No.
Haley Steinfeld.
Oh.
Just like initially was reported, and then it was like maybe not because she's busy with other things, but then a pandemic managed to stop her other projects. So now she's going to apparently has already signed on and will now be starring alongside as the protege to Hawkeye alongside Jeremy Renner's Hawkeye. So it's interesting that the show has kind of managed to get fast-tracked essentially when the rest of the shows kind of finish their start finishing. It's like the Falcon and Winter Soldier and what was the other one called? WandaVision finished their kind of production up now. Hawkeye start production now, and so it's going to kind of it'll kind of come out in that when it was supposed to come out initially in that kind of 2022 batch of shows, I believe. Check right now, but I'm pretty sure it's 2022. It had 2022 date for release. 2021, sorry. It's currently on target for 2021, and now with Hawkeye, it looks like indeed it will be coming out when they say it was supposed to come out. That's good. Always great. Yep. So that is there. What else is there? There must be more Marvel stuff. I actually don't think there is. Because see, this is the thing. Marvel has been very disappointing during this pandemic. They haven't come out with any big news, right? Like this, I think we've talked about the delayed release dates for all those movies. I mean, I know we have, because that's the thing. DC's come out swinging, and Marvel just kind of sunk into the shadow, which is kind of disappointing because, you know, exactly, yeah. And we'll be talking about DC Fandom in a little bit, but when we do, you know, it's gonna be like we're gonna kind of talk about all this DC news which has come up, and this love for DC which is kind of like, you know, come up, and Marvel just kind of disappearing. And Disney, it's like you would have thought Disney would do something, you know, kind of fandom-esque, but apparently not. Which it's honestly just disappointing, right? Like, so that's a thing. I mean, well, I guess we'll talk about the Disney Plus tier thing for Mulan later, when we talk about the movie business. So let's talk about, unless you have anything else about Marvel, which I've missed or forgotten about. The video game's coming out. The Avengers and Spider-Man. There's another, that Miles Morales Spider-Man. We're both Xbox people, so you know it's kind of so it's irrelevant. DC stuff. Let's talk about DC stuff. Speaking of stuff, there you go. Hey, I haven't lost it, and it's been like
lost it. You're still good.
So DC's done a lot actually. They've just kind of like, you know. It's been back to back DC stuff. So let's start with the second biggest piece of DC news, or one of the biggest pieces of DC news, which is, guess what? We just talked.
Oh wait,
DC Fandom, aka DC's version of Comic-Con.
Okay.
So DC Fandom is going to be basically DC's big kind of version of Comic-Con, and it's going to have everything. It's going to be the first place you're going to get to see the Snyder Cut, which we have to talk about at some point because that's the other big piece of DC news. Yeah. It's going to have panels from Black Adam, which apparently is coming out still. There's been a new Black Adam casting too for Adam Smasher, who's like this guy and the guy who's playing Adam Smasher. So Adam Smasher, when I say that name, what do you think of? You see like this big, strong guy who destroys things, right? Yeah. Someone who can go almost toe to toe with Black Adam, right?
Yeah.
Now, what if I told you so you know The Rock's playing Black Adam in that movie, right? So let me tell you. So what if I told you Atom Smasher is going to be played by a kid whose most prominent roles are in Netflix films such as To All the Boys I've Loved Before and
Oh god.
a whole
Oh,
bunch
yeah.
of those. Now, what if I
I've
told
heard of
you
that.
that's Atom Smasher, who's going to play Atom Smasher, who's supposed to go toe-to-toe with, or who should be able to go toe-to-toe with The Rock, which is not going to happen, so, you know.
Just the lone boys I've loved before. God.
Oh, all his things are like these teen rom-com Netflix.
that's cool.
Yeah, it's really bad. And so every DC movie will have a panel there. Future DC movies, all of them, Wonder Woman, everything. All the movies are just slipping my mind right now. All the actors and stuff will be there. It's going to be a big thing, essentially, with huge news. And it's a whole day. It's online. It's like Comic-Con, except it's free and it's online. And it's on August 22nd, and everything's just going to be there. It's going to be massive, and yeah. So, yeah. Are you going to be at, I guess I say at with air quotes because you can't really go anywhere. But are you going to be online for Fandom?
Hopefully. Fingers crossed. Are you?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm just going to block the 22nd off right now. Or I already have, I guess. But, I'm just going to be online all day. That'll be my day and I'll be making videos and stuff, constantly during that time, just everything that comes out. Because it's all very important to cover. And also, I'm going to try to get back into a semi-regular video schedule. So, you know, we'll see. The problem is I end up on 2K and then I end up grinding on my career for all day. And then I realize, oh, wait, the day's over. Damn it. So it's it's kind of how it goes, you know?
Yeah.
And then, yeah, so I'm going to have to get into a semi-regular video upload schedule too. So, hopefully by August 22nd, I'll have have started to continuously upload. But yeah, and then on top of that, we also have some news about the Snyder Cut, which I wanted to talk about. Because we have not made a podcast since it was announced that the Snyder Cut will be released.
Finally.
And all that threatening on the phone, which is in our intro, actually, us mocking that threatening on the phone, where they would or harassing on the phone. They would call Warner Bros. And they would say release the Snyder Cut and then hang up.
Yeah.
Remember we were joking about that?
Mm-hmm.
And that the clip which actually ended up in the intro. I don't remember exactly which one, but so the Snyder Cut's happening. It's crazy.
Thankfully, it's happening.
Now, are you gonna watch?
Yeah, no doubt. Are you?
Of course, I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah, you're gonna watch it, no doubt.
Wait, do you have HBO?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. Well,
there's always an online alternative.
Nope, we do not condone. We are firmly against pirating. We have to publicly say we're firmly against pirating, and we are firmly against pirating. So yes, we are firmly against pirating. We believe we need money to keep flowing through this business so we can have things to talk about.
Yeah.
So yes, the Snyder Cut's happening. It's going to be huge. Honestly, it's going to probably be the single biggest thing in a long time. It's just going to be massive.
You know what? They should actually release it in theaters.
See, the only reason I would say no is because if you look at this through the U.S. perspective, guess what they need do you know what HBO Max needs right now?
What?
Subscribers.
That's true.
That streaming service is having the most difficult time of ever. So, fun fact. When do you think the best DC? So you agree with me that DC is Warner Bros. Probably their biggest kind of property, right?
Yeah.
Now, when I say DC, what is the first movie you think of?
Man of Steel.
Second movie you think of?
Batman vs Superman.
Third movie you think of?
Wonder Woman.
I think that's very difficult. What is the best movie you think of?
Wonder Woman.
Second best movie?
Aquaman.
Third, no, just DC as a whole, not just the DCEU.
Oh.
Yeah. What's the first movie you think of when you think of DC Comics? There we go. That's what I was looking for.
There we go.
So that's probably one of DC's most popular. Oh, it is their most popular kind of movie
100%.
trilogy, and definitely the best DC movie trilogy. Fun fact: that will not be streaming on HBO Max.
That's right.
Well, it was, but then it isn't. It will instead be streaming on Peacock, which is the Universal streaming service. Now, what's the second biggest franchise that Warner Bros. Has, in your
The
opinion?
Matrix.
Like big franchise, not trilogy / 4 movies. It's based on the right answer is based on a series of books.
Game of Thrones?
No.
No. I really don't know.
8-ish movies / more / less. I don't even know how many there are. Anyways, I'm gonna give you the answer. Harry Potter. Yeah,
right.
you know that big franchise that
Oh, I forgot.
Yeah, so they also don't have those anymore on HBO Max.
That's also.
They own all these movies. They just can't stream them, and they have to give them to their competitors because guess what? They don't have the rights to the streaming because they didn't think they were going to be having a streaming service. So at least that's how I think it is. I don't think because they have the rights, they just don't have the rights right now.
Yeah.
And so that streaming service is having dire issues, and then on top of that, because of all these right issues they're juggling. I didn't say juggling. Juggling. They have to actually. So unlike Disney Plus, which brings on new things but then doesn't get rid of anything, so it just all stays, right?
Yeah.
And they have to keep kind of moving things in and out and get rid of things after a month and bring in new things. And because of the rights and stuff. So it's actually become a very big issue for them. And they need something like, this Snyder Cut to really just boost them up,
Yeah.
Because otherwise they're going to die. I mean, at the end of the day, Disney Plus, Netflix, and Amazon Prime Video maybe are the only streaming services which have any sort of strength and longevity.
Obviously.
And everybody else who thinks the other problem I think is no other streaming service is going global, which is the biggest problem.
They're all domestic.
Because Disney Plus in September or in November will be almost completely global. It's already released in almost every major market, including China, India, and the US, right? So, and they're hitting 63.5 million subscribers worldwide. Which is huge.
More than the population of Canada.
Which is not very big.
That's true.
That's tiny. But it's a huge number that they're hitting, and that's why they're able to do things like the Mulan thing, which we'll talk about later. From just the way the math will work out, that they could do this for more movies as well. Right? You could have movies like Black Widow go straight to Disney Plus, and there are aspects of which obviously are we don't know, but from what we can kind of see, Disney Plus seems to have a good strategy, but no other streaming service seems to be able to, except Netflix. But Netflix, even then, the only reason it's big is because it was there first. Like nowadays, Netflix wouldn't be able to survive because they survived so long off everyone else's content. Right now, they're making their own content, and they've had some good hits, but
falling off.
But the thing about Netflix, which I find actually very fascinating, is if you look at the amount of original hits compared to the failures and the things that kind of just vanish really greatly outweigh the hits. But the hits are hits, right? They're big hits.
Big.
The hits are big, but then the misses are very bad. Disney Plus, on the other hand, because they have a library already, their hits are hit, and they don't have misses, or not really any misses yet. They kind of had a miss, but that wasn't even their fault because it wasn't a Disney Plus original. But because Netflix has to create a library. Disney Plus already had a library, all of Disney's movies, right?
Yeah.
And all of Fox's movies. That's why I think Netflix either needs to be bought or needs to buy a company, because they need some sort of catalog, because you can't just, especially if everyone's creating a streaming service, you can't survive off of, your own catalog, because there's 3 shows and maybe 5 movies that people are really willing to keep Netflix for, right?
Yeah.
Once it loses all that other content, there's no point in keeping it.
There's no point in keeping Netflix. Nobody's going to watch it because their favorite show's gone, or their favorite movie. Like
Friends, The Office, those are 2 of the biggest
by far
US.
the biggest shows on Netflix that people watch.
Yeah. And with that gone now in the US, it's going to hurt Netflix. And Netflix, yes, they have Stranger Things, but Stranger Things is what? Going to end up being 4 seasons. And, they've got shows that'll keep some people around. But other streaming services have such a back catalog that Netflix, I think, is going to have problems later on. Right now, they're good because they still got tons of other content. But 5 years, 6 years down the line, I don't think that'll be the case anymore. And, Netflix is going to suffer because of that.
Like, I watch The Office on Netflix. It's the only thing that's getting me onto Netflix. And same with many people. And that's why, as you mentioned, if they take down these big shows, their ratings are going to go down.
And now Netflix did have a huge bump in subscriptions this time because of the pandemic. And people were like, well, look, Netflix is safe. But I'm like, no, give it 5 years and if Netflix continues on course, there will be very few reasons to keep Netflix, right? Because you can't, Netflix is trying to do quantity, while every other streaming service is focused on quality, right? Disney Plus doesn't care about how many shows they put out because they know we have all this other stuff which is keeping you in Disney Plus, right? You got all these, the OG Disney movies, all the Marvel, the Star Wars, Avatar, all that stuff, right? Home Alone, X-Men, right? You've got everything on that. So we can put out, one show in 1 month, and people aren't going to care because as long as it's good, and then you see it's good because, you've got a case where Mandalorian has 17 nominations. Even Apple TV Plus, though, I think that's going to be another one that's going to have to either buy stuff or, buy a company or not exist, besides to sell phones, right? So that's going to kind of what it's going to come down, which kind of sucks, obviously, for all these studios and stuff, but it's kind of the way it's going to work. Oh, yeah. So now on other DC news, because we're still talking about DC, I think. Yeah, right?
Yeah.
There's another piece of news which kind of was, again, at the beginning of this kind of hiatus for the pod, and was when I was not making videos. I might have made a video on this. I actually don't remember if I did. Either way, it's the news regarding Michael Keaton and Batman and the DCEU.
Yeah, Michael Keaton's coming back as Batman.
Yep. Oh, well, probably. We don't know for sure, but he's going to be replacing Ben Affleck's Batman in the DCEU, which means that Matt Reeves' Batman trilogy is going to be a standalone. So that Robert Pattinson trilogy is going to be kind of like the Joker, and it'll be in its own kind of universe, which they could connect. I still think they can connect it through Flashpoint and multiverses and stuff, but it shows that yes, that DC intends to essentially do the most convoluted thing possible, which is, guess what?
Fail.
700 different universes at once.
Oh, yeah.
Because, the common consumer is going to totally be able to differentiate between the CW universe and then the DC streaming service universe, even that streaming service is dead now, and then the movie verse, and then the Joker verse, and then the Pattinson verse, and then because the Marvel, very simple, everything's connected, whether it's the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. on TV or the Disney Plus TV or Daredevil.
Netflix shows.
Yeah, or the Netflix shows.
They're all within one universe.
They're all within one universe to an extent until Disney gives up and says, until Marvel decides to say, okay, we're gonna reboot it, but it's still connected, but we're gonna ignore it. But it's very simple, right? Because it's all in one universe, unlike other things where it's not all in one.
Yeah.
But I'll understand it, so and you'll understand. You'll know it's connected. And we're getting the best Batman. That's a lie. One of the best Batman back.
Yeah. Come on. We know Christian Bale's the best Batman.
What do you mean?
Come on, man.
The best Batman is very obviously Lego Batman.
Nah, it's Bale, but yeah, Keaton's definitely one of the best.
And he will be kind of, the way it was described when this kind of came out was, so he'll be introduced in the Flashpoint universe. So in the Flashpoint story, normally, Batman, when Flash kind of screws up the timeline when he's running back to save his mother, which is the story, the timeline gets all changed up, right? And he comes back, and Thomas Wayne is Batman, and Martha Wayne is the Joker. And, Aquaman and Wonder Woman are fighting, and then they do some stuff together, and then Mara finds out, and it's a whole big thing. But yeah, that's how, and Superman's like this little skinny child who's scared of the sun. It's the whole thing. But instead they said that the Flashpoint movie, which is going to be the Flash movie, which that's the one that I remember we made the joke on the last episode of the podcast, which was the one that they said they swear they were going to start filming before the pandemic, and then they just kind of
they never did anything.
They just never ended up doing it, even though they had nothing done, and and they claimed they were going to film it, but
Yep, it was a lie.
Big lie, I think. And
scam.
They just sent Ezra Miller there to just wait for people, and they made us locked in soundstage. That was but instead of that, they're gonna have Michael Keaton actually take over for Ben Affleck's Batman and kind of be a Nick Fury role in these apparently still doing the whole connected. Now, what do you think of this? Rather than kind of retconning in a way and using Pattinson's younger the Batman in the DCU, and instead going with this kind of guiding figure Batman.
I like Pattinson. I think he's going to be a good fit as Batman. He's got something to him that'll make him fit. And then having like a mentor, I don't like it. I don't like the mentor idea, to be honest. I mean, yeah, Batman's got guys like Alfred and stuff, but a Nick Fury or like an Iron Man to Spider-Man or something like that, I'm just not a fan of it. I like Batman as Batman, not like Batman with like help.
Well, it will be Batman with help, right? Batman will be the one giving the help, right? Batman will be helping Flash, right? Because Pattinson's his own thing, and then the Flash, like the DCEU, will have kind of like the Flash being guided by an old Batman, so he won't get his own movie, right? Besides, I guess, the one he has, but it's just kind of he'll be like like Michael Keaton's Batman will be like a Nick Fury or an Iron Man to Spider-Man or Flash, kind of, right? Kind of doing exactly what they did with Ben Affleck in it, except with Keaton instead. And like I kind of like my biggest issue, and even with I love Affleck as anything, but my biggest issue with him as Batman was that he kind of it didn't feel like it didn't have that same camaraderie that the normal Justice League did, right? Like in the comics and stuff, the Justice League had always been around the same age, right? So they're all friends, they bond, like the Avengers, right? Like Iron Man, Captain America, Black Widow, Hulk, they all kind of bond because, they're all just kind of like, they're all the same age, they're kind of all peers in a way, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like if you suddenly make, Batman like 90, you make the Flash 12, and you put them on the same team, right? It's kind of like, it's weird. It's like, this isn't the Justice League because they aren't like this core group that's like kind of bonding. There's this old dude, then there's this young kid, or these young kids, right? And then there's these two people who don't really age, we don't really know where they are, right? It's kind of just weird. I feel like that kind of like idea of like the entire kind of Justice League having kind of being the same age, they can kind of get along. Then yes, you would have a Spider-Man character, but then you have Shazam, right, to kind of take that role of like a Spider-Man character. I don't know. I think the Flash should kind of be like, I think Ezra Miller should not be the Flash. I think the Flash should be, someone who's a bit, like they should all kind of be the same age even though, you know what I mean? And if they wanted to keep Ezra Miller as the Flash, they should make Pattinson Batman and, and maybe even recast Cavill and, do it like that because they should all be able to bond and kind of be around the same age, right? Otherwise it's kind of, like it's weird to have this random old dude and this random like young kid kind of hanging out together and fighting crime, right?
Right.
So I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just me, and maybe when I see it, I'll be like, this is great. But right now, I'm still kind of unsold on it.
Yeah. Yeah, understandable.
But I'm willing to let it. I'm obviously willing to have my mind change. I know Pattinson's Batman will be good no matter what, so I'm not. And I also kind of wish that, because that universe was starting to, like, speaking of Pattinson's Batman, actually, this is something else which I completely forgot about. So the HBO Max is also going to be doing spin-offs for the Pattinson-verse.
Oh.
So HBO Max is going to have a Gordon show, or not Gordon, sorry, a Gotham police show. I don't remember what it's called. on HBO Max. And basically, it'll be Commissioner Gordon from that Robert Pattinson Batman movie, and it'll kind of be the prelude to that movie, and it'll be a TV series about the police of Gotham City, because, Gotham wasn't trash enough. They needed to give us more.
Yeah, that sounds interesting. I never thought they would do it, like multiple spin-offs, basically.
Well, it's going to be the trilogy, and then they said they have plans for a whole bunch of different little TV series spin-offs.
Yeah.
They want to make it basically its own little Batman.
Right.
They want to do kind of the Dark Knight thing, except more, right?
Yeah.
They want to give you, because the other thing they said about this movie specifically was this Pattinson Batman movie, they said it will not have, it won't have origin stories for these villains, because, it's just going to have it's going to kind of be a little bit into Batman being Batman. You're not going to see these origin stories of Batman, and you're not going to see these origin stories of, the Catwoman and stuff. They're all going to they'll all know each other, right? So the audience doesn't have to, again, hear the origin story of Catwoman or hear the origin story of Batman, right?
Yeah.
Because at this point, you really need to know, do you know how Batman became Batman?
Because his parents were killed and he wanted revenge for it.
There we go. You think 90% of the people in the street will know how Batman became Batman?
Probably.
There's a good chance that if you're a normal person who's seen a movie, you'll know how Batman becomes Batman, right?
Yeah.
So, it's kind of like how in Homecoming, they didn't show how Spider-Man got his powers, because everyone and their mother knows how Spider-Man got their powers.
Yeah.
He was bit by a radioactive spider. I've never seen that before, except in, both Amazing Spider-Man movies and, most of the Sam Raimi movies at different points in time, in every single Spider-Man TV show ever, even the other villains, right? It's based on all the other Batman movies, do you not know how Catwoman probably gets her powers? We don't really know, because I don't know. I still think that Catwoman movie is probably the most accurate one, where she died and then cats breathed on her and then she came back to life.
Yeah.
Even though it's obviously not that, because that movie was complete garbage. Halle Berry is good. She was just in a trash.
Yeah, it wasn't for her. That Catwoman movie was not for her.
It wasn't for anyone, really.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Cats, except that.
Exactly.
Oh, God, the Leafs are losing. Sorry. I just had the score on. Really losing. So, what was I saying? Right, yes, Catwoman movie. Ugh, terrible thing. So, yeah. We're going to be getting a spin-off, too, of that. Yeah, I think it could be good, but I'm still skeptical, because how interesting is a DC show before that?
Yeah.
It just feels like Gotham, because that already happened, but we'll see, I guess.
Right. Yep.
Is that it for DC? I might be saying something, but we'll know at some point. There's been little stuff about the Suicide Squad.
The Suicide Squad. No one really likes that.
No, the new one, the James Gunn one.
Oh, okay.
There's been little news about that. Even the air cut of the original one, the cut where the movie wasn't a music video.
Yeah.
Apparently that could happen too. I feel like there's other stuff that Suicide Squad game.
No,
they're working on a Suicide Squad game. So they're gonna make a Suicide Squad kind of game based kind of like the Arkham.
Yeah.
And we both like the Arkham games, right?
The Arkham games are really.
And so that Suicide Squad game will probably be.
Hopefully.
Now other stuff.
Very
descriptive stuff. I love these. So
John Wick Chapter 5 is happening, and it's weird because they haven't even released the fourth.
Well, they're doing back to back.
Straight away, they're just saying, "Yo, number 5's coming out," but it means that John doesn't die in number 4. But the directors in August said that it's not going to have a happy ending, so don't have your high hopes. This movie.
Wait, which one's not going to have a happy ending?
Both of them said that the John Wick movie series are not going to have a happy ending, so don't have your hopes too high.
Now, is 5 the last one?
What?
Is 5 the last one?
I believe so. 5 might be the last.
So they're probably, possibly, maybe ending it right there.
Yeah.
Which means he could die.
And yeah, we're just getting ready for a non-happy ending, which is good. I don't want to see a happy ending in a movie anymore. I'm getting bored of that.
You're getting bored of, happily ever after?
Yeah, I'm getting bored of happy ending.
What's Thanos snapping?
That was actually the best happy ending when Thanos won in Infinity War.
So yes, the John Wick they're filming 2 movies back to back. So initially they were going to do one. Now they've decided, okay, well, pandemic, we've written another script. We might as well just do both of them back to back, right? Because, why not?
Yeah.
I'm on board. I want to see John Wick more.
Trust me, John Wick 4 is gonna be big box office. Trust.
Oh, it will be for sure.
If John Wick 3 made 300 million, then John Wick 4 is making more than that easily.
I think John Wick 5. Okay, now this is just me. I think John Wick 5 could hit 800 million.
It could, 100%.
I would say $1 billion, but I think that's too much for an R-rated movie because
think about it. This is not a movie for younger audiences and not exactly for everyone. So it's going to kind of throw away because things like Marvel, it's for everyone. Whereas something like John Wick, it's not for 13 and 12-year-olds exactly. The content of it and what happens.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. R-rated movies, even Deadpool, did as big as it was.
Deadpool did excellent. It got how much? 700 million. So John Wick has no reason to not get to 700 million.
I think it can too.
It can.
Don't think it can hit $1 billion just because of the fact that it's a R-rated movie that probably won't be allowed to be released in China, but I think it can do well.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's John Wick. And do we know anything else about that movie yet?
No.
It was just that they're filming back to back, right?
Yeah.
So other movie news is what else has happened with movies and news? I feel like I'm just forgetting things right now. I'm sure there's something big, and then in a second I'm just gonna kind of realize, oh wait, this is a masterpiece of news. How did I forget about this? So I'm gonna make sure that doesn't go and look at stuff quickly. Oh, that movie. John David Washington.
Tenet.
That one, yes.
Moved to August?
Yes.
Oh, so it's coming out really soon.
Wait, was it moved to August?
I think you said before it was moved to August.
That's probably right. Hold on. Here's something which I completely forgot about. We'll get back to Tenet in a second when I remember what was. Oh, right, we're gonna be getting a trailer soon. I think maybe that would be.
Yeah.
There's something. It'll come to me. Tarantino. Let's talk about Tarantino.
Yes.
So remember when Tarantino was supposed to have a Star Trek movie, an R-rated Star Trek movie?
Yeah.
So apparently, since even though he's no longer directing that movie, they do want to use his screenplay.
Is Tarantino going to give him approval?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a nice guy. He'll do it.
So the way that, do you want me to tell you how they described the Star Trek movie? Taking place largely on Earth in the 1930s gangster setting.
Oh.
And it's Star Trek apparently, so.
Like Italian-Irish gangsters or something like that?
I don't even know what's happening. I thought Star Trek was space and aliens.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Right, and then the Matrix is a trans allegory.
Yep.
I feel like I'm forgetting something. I must be. Oh yes, dude, that thing. Remember that movie?
Wait, which one?
The new one. The one that has every actor in it since the dawn of time.
Knives Out.
No, Dune.
Oh, Dune.
Remember the one with Timothée Chalamet and every actor in Hollywood.
Denis Villeneuve, the most that guy's making really good movies.
Yeah. So we're gonna be getting a trailer for that soon.
Damn.
Before September.
So okay, that sounds good.
Very soon, yes. So it'll be something that'll coming very soon, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it'll be coming in the next few weeks from what I've heard.
Not bad. So we should be getting it shortly.
Very shortly, yes.
Yeah.
And the art director, Tom Brown, said the designs are just incredible. The scale is quite amazing. I do think it's going to be extremely special. I read that they're looking at this as the new Lord of the Rings, and I firmly believe that.
It's a Denis Villeneuve movie. What else did you expect? Just positive after positive after positive reviews.
Yes. It's going to be great. And this Dune, I'm not sure if it's going to be 1 or it's going to be 2, but he's going to actually take a little bit of a break after Dune. I believe the first one, before he even does the second one.
Yeah.
And he's going to do a nice small movie, and then he's going to come back to, because he wants to do a nice small movie before he goes back to doing blockbusters after Dune.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's obviously great, because he'll do great with whatever he does.
Yeah.
Oh, right, that's the thing. I remember what the movie news that I was missing was. Ben Affleck.
Oh, the Chinatown one.
Yes, so Ben Affleck will be directing a new movie. What's that movie called? It's something to do with a goodbye.
The Big Goodbye.
The Big Goodbye. I'm going to find the title in a quick second because I am like kind of just going crazy right now apparently.
Huh.
So in 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second, I will be able to tell you. I'm pretty sure it's called The Big Goodbye, and it's going to be about like the end of the golden age of Hollywood, and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Similar to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Which was obviously
The Big Goodbye, yes. Right.
Yeah.
So the film will be an adaptation of The Big Goodbye, Chinatown, and the Last Years of Hollywood, which follows the making of Chinatown and the end of the golden age of the 70s cinema, right? So, and Paramount will be...
Oh, not bad.
So, for those people who don't know, the 70s was a time when there were movies.
Yes.
So, the 70s had lots of movies, including the awesome Superman movie, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory,
Yes.
Lord of the Rings, Robin Hood,
Apocalypse Now,
Star Wars: A New Hope, Rocky, Grease, Mad Max, The Great Gatsby. Oh, that was later. Oh no, the original one was then. Never mind. A Clockwork Orange and Close Encounters of the Third Kind, King Kong, the original Star is Born. Just lots of movies. The Muppet movie. Yeah, lots of great movies.
Yeah.
And, it's kind of all ending now. Alien, Planet of the Apes, the original, Taxi Driver.
Raging Bull.
Yeah. Just a ton of great movies that are... So it's gonna be an interesting thing to kind of... I love movies about ends of good times of Hollywood. Good eras of Hollywood.
Good vibe.
And so, yeah, that'll be kind of fun, I think.
That'll be a good movie.
Yeah, and it's Ben Affleck. What else?
I think next was what we watched.
Movie business and stuff. So this will be a really quick one. This is like two little subtopics.
Forgot about that one. Alright.
So the first subtopic is Universal, AMC, and theatrical windows and stuff. So the theatrical window for those is the time that a movie is exclusively in theaters before it can be released on DVD or digitally or whatever. It's only in theaters, right?
Yeah.
And typically it's a few months. I can't remember the exact number of weeks off the top of my head, but typically it's a few months, which is before you get, the Blu-ray trailers and stuff like that, right? And before you can, purchase it on, various places, right?
Yeah.
So recently, AMC, after the video-on-demand success of Trolls, which I'm not going to really get into because I made videos about this many times, and we've actually talked about this on the podcast. But basically, after the success of Trolls, due to a number of factors, which, again, you should watch the videos where I kind of go into detail about those number of factors, it made a lot of money. And basically, Universal was kind of like, great, we're going to do this, and we're going to also release it in theaters. We'll make double the money.
Yeah.
That AMC, which is a huge U.S. theater chain, said, no, that's not the way it works. We're never showing another one of your movies ever again. And they're being huffy and angry at each other and standing there with their arms crossed, pouting like little children. Just recently, like a few weeks ago, the the Leafs lost 3-0. Anyways, sorry. So then a few weeks later, or a few weeks ago, the AMC came to the deal of an agreement saying there would be a 14-day theatrical window, before movies can be released on video on demand and stuff.
Yeah.
Now, this is probably the most significant thing that happened in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Because by having so I actually did some math initially, and the majority of movies make half their theatrical revenue in the first 14 days.
Yeah.
Which is, so you're still, because the theaters obviously don't want to lose out on everything, so if they're getting half of what they would normally get, that's pretty good instead of just, getting nothing and the theater getting money.
Right.
So, yeah. So this of course is significant because, now you're going to have movies like, Fast and the Furious, the new one, in theaters for 14 days, or in AMC theaters for 14 days, and then they'll be able to release it on other things, right? Like, video on demand, on their own streaming services, right?
or on digital or whatever it comes out on.
So that's huge. Now Disney says they're unenthusiastic about it because they believe, even though they're wrong, that movies would miss out on money. Because I also did some math relating to Disney movies, smaller Disney movies, and those more family-friendly Disney movies, which is what they're worried about. And even those movies actually make the large portion of their theatrical revenue in the first 14 days, and the rest of it is just kind of pointless. So Disney's wrong. But Disney has decided to do something special with Mulan, which is the second kind of part of this, which is they're doing for Disney Plus, a special tier, which is $30, and you get Mulan. You get to watch Mulan on Disney Plus.
Yeah. And
it isn't, now, you might be thinking, okay, well, you can go to the theater, an average family of like 4 can go to a regular showing of a movie for like $50, right?
Yeah.
So you're probably thinking, well, that's a $20 difference, for a rent, but it isn't a rental, you see. Instead, it is, you get unlimited access to the movie for as many watches as you want for $30.
Yeah.
You essentially buy that movie, so long as you're subscribed to Disney Plus, you can buy that movie for $30, essentially. Now, eventually they'll release it onto normal Disney Plus, a few months later. But for the first few months, you get it for $30. That's a pretty good deal, right?
Yeah, that's good.
And I actually did some math also regarding this, just to see, because Disney was being non-committal about whether or not they would continue to do this. They said, if it works, we might do it, but we don't plan on doing it. So Disney, actually, I did some math about it, and if a quarter of Disney's global subscribers pay this $30, then Disney will have made on this movie double its budget. They would have made back the $200 million it cost to make it, approximately, probably more because they had to push it back a bunch. But the $200 million plus they would make $200 million extra worldwide.
Quick maths.
And that's only a quarter of the global subscribers paying for it.
Yeah.
Now imagine if if half did, they would make almost $800 million.
Right.
That's either a quarter or half. That's already a win, right? Half the global subscribers, right? Like that's a huge win for them.
That's a huge one.
If this movie makes $800 million through this, or maybe even more, right? If there's even more of their global subscribers pay for this, for example, if Disney takes home $1 billion of pure profit after the $200 million budget, they would be complete morons to not do it again. Because imagine if you did that for Black Widow. If you thought Mulan was big, imagine if you did it for a Marvel movie, right? You'd be raking in the money. Like, you could have a movie like Black Widow make $1 billion of pure profit. You know how rare it is I don't think it's ever happened where a movie's made $1 billion just off that movie's revenue of pure profit for the studio.
Yeah.
And they could make like 600-700 million off just half the subscribers. They could make 200 million for Mulan off a quarter of their subscribers, right? So I think it's going to be successful, and if it is, they'd be so stupid not to do it again.
Right.
Right? Because money.
Money. It's all about the money for these people.
As it should be.
Yep.
So, speaking of movies, what did we watch? Let's kind of do this quickly because we haven't done this in ages.
Yeah. Hold on, I'm trying to remember what I watched. I think I watched this movie called Art of War with Wesley Snipes. I watched Salt. I rewatched Wanted. I rewatched Upgrade. I rewatched Den of Thieves. I watched some of The Office. I rewatched Detroit. I rewatched the Jason Bourne movies because they were just randomly on TV. So I was just like, all right, let's watch them.
Why wouldn't you?
I rewatched Night and Day with Tom Cruise. What else? That's all I can remember. What did you watch?
So, since quarantine started, I have watched 62 movies for the first time. So since March, I watched 62 movies for the first time, and I've rewatched 42 movies. It's a lot, yeah. And that's a total of 106. So, for example, let's see. The most recent movie I watched was great. I also watched Black Swan. I watched Black Swan. I watched Hunchback. I watched American Hustle. I watched Intelligently. I watched kind of a lot of Star Wars stuff, some other things that's easy. Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's good.
I also have a top 13 right now of 2021. Hint, hint. Number one is I'm gonna give you my number one to 5. It's good. Like nice 1 to 5. You're gonna be partially. I think you're gonna be. I don't know if you're gonna be. Five is a movie that I know you'll be proud of. So number 1 is Hamilton, 2 is Onward, 3 is Birds of Prey, 4 is Greyhound, and 5 is.
That's pretty good. Pretty good. Good look.
Now, number 13 is Trolls 2, which I talked about on numerous occasions.
You hated that.
If I could put it farther down.
You despise that with a sincere passion.
It's actually number 5.
Yeah. And number 5 is Chucker, yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty good stuff there.
Good stuff.
I've got less movies now than ever before. I've got what I thought it would be there.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.